Today we're going to be talking to Dr. Theo Wilson. Can I call you doctor yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay,
Not
well,
yet.
soon to be Dr. Theo Wilson. Specializes in industrial organizational psychology, a member of Good Place Institute. Yeah, and your goal is just to focus on cultivating good culture. Is that right?
Yeah. Just taking teams, organizations from like chaos to we actually know what we're doing.
Yeah. What does that chaos often look like?
I want to say a circus, but circuses are systematic. Just everybody just running like the sky is falling, and knowing there's got to be a more efficient way to do it, but I also got to get my job done, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So yeah,
I think a lot of people are feeling that exhaustion.
Yeah,
like
I
in
would
these
say
days,
so.
especially in their professional life.
I don't think there's anybody who is not on some level, because you think of the concept of a utopia. If I'm not mistaken, the U means nothing and topia means place. So that's not a real place. There is no place on earth where there's not some kind of struggle. I think there is, and this is something people aren't always awake to. It's like the Matrix, that struggle can be harnessed and it can be okay. The Christian perspective is that, work is like cursed. It's like a punishment. It's because of something that happened before. These are the repercussions. It's supposed to be hard. But whatever you subscribe to, I think everybody can agree work is tough, but it doesn't need to be like soul sucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
like
I get
you can enjoy it. Everybody's also experienced what it feels like to work hard at something and be having fun the whole way.
Yeah.
Even like really hard work. So
what does that balance look like between like, yes, work does suck and there will always be that version of that is challenging, but also finding fulfillment in it? Like because both can be true, but it's like those kind of some ways conflict.
I think it comes down to purpose. We're all part of some kind of organization, even if it's a family unit, and even if somebody says, well, I don't have a family. I don't know my parents. I don't have my siblings or whatever. I don't know where I came from. It's just a very dysfunctional organization, but you didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
So if everybody's agreed on what the purpose is, that's where the fulfillment of work comes from. If you think of like an athlete, the only reason, like I think runners are sadists,
Yeah, I agree.
Like it's
like
speaking
you just
as
want
a
to keep
former one.
running.
Yeah. Like I didn't like to run,
Yeah.
but I also ran for a living in some instances. And so I played soccer. I ran track too, but soccer was my main thing. And somebody, when I was in college, I don't remember the exact statistic, but they were like, did you guys ever stop and think about, like, in a season, we touch the ball in a game, like, I don't know, something like 300 times or something like that. Don't quote me on the statistic. I actually don't think that math checks out, but it was a very, 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 very low amount of times. And all the rest of the time you're running. Like, that's all you're doing the rest of the time. And if you told a soccer player, hey, I want you to do the same thing, just you're not going to touch the ball at all, they'd be like, I don't really want to do that, because you're taking the purpose out of it.
Yeah.
They would be running the same amount, but those few touches on the ball, those few opportunities to like make an impact, to move towards a goal with a group, it makes the pain, the training, the fitness, all of it makes it worth it,
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. So you're saying that like the analogy is playing soccer. You're going to be doing that work, which is running, which is not fun.
Yeah.
But those moments when you get to touch the ball, make something happen, collaborate.
Yeah.
That's what it's. That's where you get the fulfillment. That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah. And the flip side of that is all sports, they're performance based. So it's a microcosm. It's a mirror of life, especially business. But when you are getting those opportunities to touch the ball, so to speak, and you don't do what you were trying to do, then in a performance-based culture, now that's your identity. Like, and I think that's why it hits so hard when you don't perform at the level you want to, because you're not going to get that many chances.
Yeah.
And life is like that as well. And it's like the opposite of fulfillment is what I think most people are experiencing, this like despondency of, I'm working so hard, why am I not getting the results that I want? And sometimes it's not because you're not good enough, because that's a thing. Like there's levels.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can ascend those levels. That's a thing too.
I want to go back to something you said about just how we've really gotten into a performance culture, right? And you see this in grind Z culture, you know, like, you know, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. and, you know, dunk my face in a bucket of ice and, you know, do 3 workouts before I start my day.
Yeah.
How do you think that is affecting us? You know, just even the young people who are trying to start their career who feel like they're not doing enough. Like, I don't think that can be good for us.
It can't be. It's not. And the problem is it's so appealing because we feel like, especially I think in the West, and America's the heart of that, where we're just such an independent culture. Our heroes, every culture has their heroes. And it's interesting to look at how the differences between those heroes. But for example, for us, a hero is somebody who, you know, rags to riches, like a Rocky or somebody like that, where the only thing that changed in their situation was them. They just made a decision.
Yeah.
And that's so appealing because we want everything to be under our control, but it's not, it's a lie. You know, that's not a real thing, because you can ask anybody who's made that journey. A lot of people like to say, I didn't get help from anybody. You know, I did this on my own. That's physically impossible.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't control when you breathed. You didn't control, like, let's say you went out to eat. You didn't control who cooked the food. Maybe you could have gotten sick from that and everything got thrown off. You didn't control all the other drivers around you on your way there. You didn't control who made the car. The money that you got, you didn't make on your own. Like, it came from somewhere. Someone gave you money to sustain you on your like. There's no possible way you did it on your own.
Like there's a version of Rocky who like just gets sick and like just can't box anymore. You know, and it's like,
or who doesn't have Mickey, or doesn't have Adrian, or who doesn't have Apollo, or
doesn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Like there is no such thing as rags to riches from your own bootstraps. We're incapable of that.
Yeah. So we are not able to get control. What's the alternative then?
If you can't be in control, then that means it's not all about you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to like open up and be vulnerable. And the opposite of control is, I don't know if I would say opposite. Alternative is influence. But influence comes from community and relationships. The background that you come from, your experiences, your goals and desires, your why, they're unique like a fingerprint. Like there is never going to be the same collection of wants and desires and fears and hopes and dreams in any other human in all of history before you existed and after you die. That will never happen again.
Yeah.
So how is there going to be alignment? Like that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Which means there's a misalignment, which means there's dysfunction, which means nobody's getting what they want. Or the person who is, everybody's experienced this too, has to step on people to get there. Because if they're mutually exclusive, like if we have a set amount of time and a set amount of resources, like in the sports analogy, there's one ball. It's like there's not multiple balls out there. Everybody can do what they want. Like I have to make a choice when I have the ball. What am I going to do with this? So how do you get to where you want to go with the group? You're going to have to let go of some part of what you think you want and listen to what the rest of the group wants, and then come to some kind of consensus and then move in that direction together.
And that's integral to everything you do. Because like, you know, family, culture, I mean, work, whatever you're doing, it's like you kind of have to start sacrificing some of those things.
Yeah,
that's very countercultural of Western culture, because everything is so about your individual aspirations.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my bride is Ethiopian Canadian. And it is so fascinating to see the differences in culture around things like hospitality, things like for example, this is a big thing that we struggled with, and it's because I was struggling with it. But let's say you go out to eat and you're with an Ethiopian or someone who's Habesha. In Ethiopian culture, it's like you got to fight for that. Like people are literally reaching over each other with their cards every time. Oh, and if you don't, it's like, do you not care? Like, are you just assuming I'm going to do this for you? So you know, there's not, it's a very relational culture, and you're trying to prove with your actions, I care about you.
Mm.
Like your needs are above mine, and I'm going to give what I have to support your needs.
Mm.
But you have to earn that. There, it's like, that's the starting point.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it comes up different in different cultures. So, I think in the same way, like if you're trying to choose a path, and you know path A doesn't work, it's not even a thing, it's smoke. Then path B, which is relational, you got to kind of see how it works in those environments. And it comes down to like love, you know, which is defined. There's an actual definition for love, which is putting the needs or desires of someone else above your own.
Wow. Yeah.
And if you can do that, you know, it's a moment by moment decision. But what you'll find is that it's reciprocated in a healthy relationship. And if you have if love is being reciprocated, you will be more cared for than you would have been if you tried to care for yourself. Because now you have someone who is fully dedicated to, I want to make sure that this person gets what they need, gets where they want to go, and they are also covered. So now you actually can both get where you want to go, which is not the case in the kind of control scenario where nobody knows what you want, you're not telling anybody what you want, and you're doing whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah, you're like kind of like keeping your cards close to your chest and playing the field.
Yep.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's kind of starting out? They have all these aspirations.
Yeah.
They want to achieve things, but you're kind of telling them like, okay, like you can't really do this on your own. And it's like, it's probably not good to manipulate people either into it.
It has to be genuine. That's
so you're linking arms with people, you know, next to you. It's like, what does that really look like?
What it looks like
on an aspirational level.
On an aspirational level, and this is tough. I mean, truth is tough, and it takes it really is like the Matrix. It takes some unlearning because your whole life, especially if America is where you live, for example, but really most places in the West, you have been told your whole life that what you want is what you should pursue, and we don't think that that's what we're saying. But every time we say to a kid, "Follow your dreams," that's like implanted, and that becomes their framework that they work in. And then they come to a situation like a decision point when there's only one ball. I got to decide. I've been told my whole life, follow my dreams. What else am I going to do? You know, this is my default. I don't even feel like it's wrong. And that's not to say that dreams are wrong or something like that. But if you have aspirations, it is to say you are not going to get there on your own. So you have to be able then to kind of release that, hold it with an open hand, and say, and this is where it's just completely backwards. I mean, there's no other way to put it. The fascinating thing about Jesus, whatever perspective you're coming from, is no one can debate that he said things that had never been heard of before, and nobody said anything more unique since. There's been a lot of perspectives, but like in normal culture, we'll say things like the golden rule. You know what I mean? Everybody is in some way, shape, or form. If you're in a Christian or in a country that's influenced by Judeo-Christian principles, or even if you want to look at like the Magna Carta or something like that, like it's something that he said is probably in there because it was based on that idea of it's not about you, and if you want to get what you want, you have to be willing to let go of what you want in favor of helping somebody else get what they want. And what you will find is you'll actually probably get what you want.
The interesting thing, this is kind of a little bit of a tangent. You ever seen the movie Dune? Have you? I love those movies.
Me too.
But I was kind of thinking about it the other day, how, you know, Paul Atreides, you know, he's kind of portrayed as this like what the Messiah was expected to be, right? Like it'd be like, okay, I'm going to come and turn the tables. And honestly, like, you can kind of like get behind that because you're like, it's like, you know, he has got this power, he's got like this destiny, you know, it's like leading, it's guiding him. And that's kind of what people Jesus wanted people Jesus to be, right? And so it's like, but he came with a completely different like it's like instead of like going to that planet and like starting this uprising, he's now just teaching those people on the planet how to like love their oppressors, you know, which is like that would be a completely different movie.
It would. It would. I mean, and we could dive super deep on that. I love doing so much.
It's so good. I'm so excited for the third one.
Me too. I'm not gonna lie. The crazy thing about Jesus, just objectively, again, is like he said some of the most out of pocket things. Like I'm saying I'm God, right? And I came down here not to be served, but to serve. Like if you don't let me serve you, you can't be a part of what I'm doing. Like he literally said that to Peter. If you're not going to let me wash your feet, then you have no part in me. That's crazy.
That is, yeah.
That's so like backwards, antithetical to what makes sense to us. Because I say it's a Western concept, but it's just a human concept at its core.
It started way back, Hammurabi Code.
Yeah.
Literally the first thing of history you probably have of any kind of law. It's like, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt
exactly.
you. Know?
Yeah. And even, that was kind of the Old Testament way of thinking as well, was like an eye for an eye. That feels right. You took from me, I'll take from you, and now we're even. And what Jesus introduced was like, technically, you guys are all at a deficit. You're all idiots. That's the truth. And there's a better way to do this where everybody can get what they really want. And I think that's the thing, is we think we know what we want. But I just had a son recently, and I feel like women know all this stuff before they give birth, and we just know nothing.
We just got to learn it along the way.
Yeah. So I'm learning some of this stuff of like rooting, for example. He's got there's different stages. So he might be looking around, and then he's like waving his hands, and now he's like eating his hand, and now he's screaming, And what I've learned is like, and it's like a meme, us husbands or partners, we're always like, okay, I think he's hungry, because we're up in the middle of the night, we're tired.
Yeah.
I see him rooting, and it's like, I think he's hungry. And so now she has to get up and feed him. And a lot of times he's not actually hungry. He just wants comfort. I think we think we're different because our brains are fully functioning, or so we think. But how would we be different? How do we know what we want? I think that's a really deep question that it seems simple on its surface, but it's actually not that simple.
I think the really big thing you're getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like we are kind of all moving out of making decisions of scarcity.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, there's only a limited amount.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're trying to fill your needs. Everybody else's. It's like musical chairs.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to push other people out of the way. I think what you're saying is the correct way to move, and even just in general, is out of abundance of being like, okay, like I know my needs are going to be met eventually. I know I'm going to maybe achieve my goals in some form or fashion eventually. That's not my priority, because I can focus on what's in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's tough because people definitely have real experiences of scarcity, where, and that's a real thing. Like you maybe had no family, no parents, no siblings, nothing, and you had to grind to survive. That's real. But we're talking about different things. There's one, which is, if you're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, you're going to have to grind to survive. You got to make a place to stay. You got to probably kill the thing that's running at you, not just so you don't die, but so you can eat, But then as you move up that hierarchy, there comes a point where you're not in survival mode anymore. Now you're grinding to achieve an aspiration. And that's a whole different world. That's like quantum physics. Like, we don't actually understand.
But that's the world that we live in nowadays.
It is,
in most first world countries. And I think that's the thing, is like our problems are no longer physiological.
Yep.
Now I feel like they're way more emotional, spiritual.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that, I think, across the board of, just like, yes, we have everything we need physiologically, but we're probably as depressed as we've ever been, anxious as we've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, something's
less
not
intelligent
right.
than we've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, our brains are smaller than they've ever been. And somebody challenged me on this, because I personally was a very, very driven, very, very driven individual. Just very focused on what I wanted to do. And I don't remember exactly what they said, but I remember what I got from it, which was, the dreams that I have are 100% based on what I've seen. I didn't grow up wanting to be a gladiator. And nobody in Rome grew up wanting to play soccer.
Yeah.
Not a single person. So how do I know what I want is real? Like, if I'm the same kind of human as they are, like, is my aspiration better than theirs? It's completely cultural. Like, I didn't grow up wanting to be a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Someone grew up and that was all they wanted to do, or be a police officer or something. It's because of what they saw, the culture that they grew up in. So if you can't anchor the validity, so to speak, like if you can't anchor what you'll get from a dream in the dream itself, where can you find fulfillment?
I see.
And I think that's what Jesus was getting at, was like, you guys have it all wrong. Like, you want to grow up and be a Pharisee, you want to grow up and join the Roman legion, so in 30 years your kids can be Roman citizens, and you probably won't even live that long.
Yeah.
Everybody's grinding to do their thing, like really hard grinding, like memorizing the entire Old Testament, or like away from their family for 30 years straight, or whatever the case. When you get there, and this is how we know fulfillment can't be anchored in what you think you want, because by and large, if you talk to, especially in our American culture, if you talk to the musicians and you talk to the athletes and you talk to the politicians who got where they thought they wanted to be, they are either not satisfied or they had to sacrifice something that they can't even tell you about. Like there are, to get into that space, it's not free. You either have to sacrifice something, sometimes unspeakable, that's a real thing, or you're not happy. So that you're doing the drugs and you're sleeping around and you're trying to find what you thought you had because your dream was air. Like it wasn't real. Like, yeah, you sung in front of a lot of people. They heard your voice. Are you fulfilled? You know?
Yeah.
And what did you have to do to get there? Was that worth it?
That's a really interesting point. My mind goes in kind of a few different directions. One, I really want to go back to what really snapped you personally out of that? Because you're saying you were really driven.
Yeah.
You played soccer internationally. Like, obviously that doesn't seem like the same person I'm talking to right now. Not to say you're not driven, but it seems like you come from a different motivation now.
Yeah. To get personal, vulnerable, so here's an example of things that aren't in your control. I was getting ready to go back to Poland, where I was kind of trying to get rooted and then start playing there. And the same week that my flight was scheduled, I got COVID and Putin invaded. Because, I'm a Christian. So my default was going to God and being mad at him. Like, why would you take this from me? Because I thought you were the one who told me to do this. And I felt very clearly that he kind of said, you never asked me. You did what made sense to you from the culture and context that you grew up in. And yeah, you're gifted at this, sure. But there's the same way that there's kind of an imperceptible level or barrier between doing stuff for fun and then doing stuff like for mission.
Yeah.
Like, this is my purpose. Whatever you believe, everybody does what they do because in some way they feel it's attached to their purpose.
Yeah. And I really like that you said it's like, man, I was really good at this.
Yeah.
This must be what God wanted me to do. Or like, this is what everything pointed to, is because it's my talent. And a lot of times it's like, that's not an answer alone. It's like your talents don't guide you.
They can't.
The tools.
Yeah. And I think people don't think all the way through that because, this might seem like a weird analogy, but there are plenty of people out there who would be excellent serial killers. Excellent. Like, never get caught,
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Are you one of them?
I'm not one of them.
Okay. Just
making
sure.
I wouldn't be good. I don't want to be good. But so is a serial killer one who is doing it? Like, are they wrong to apply your same logic and say, this is what I'm good at? Why is what they do bad?
Yeah.
So I just say that to say we can't use talent alone as a lens for, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Especially if you have such blindfolds on that you don't realize you're stepping on people to go where you think you're supposed to go because of what you think you're good at.
Yeah.
And there's always somebody better than you.
Yeah.
100%.
Always.
Someone is better than you at what you think
if there
you're good at.
isn't right now, there will be next year.
And you will encounter them. And at that point, it comes down to who sacrificed the most. And like I said, there's some sacrifices out there some people are willing to make that other people aren't willing to make.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who feels just really disheartened with what they're currently doing? You know, whether that be a job or even like looking for a job, like where can they find fulfillment and their meaning and just in life in general?
It's a tough question. I think you start with logic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually work some of these things out, to kind of recap, you're not going to get anywhere on your own. What you think you want is probably not real,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a desire in you. It's just, it doesn't look like what you think you want. And I mean, if you think about that, if all humans are the same race, we're probably, like, if you look in the animal kingdom, they want the same things.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at stars need the same things. So if you look at the human race, it's not going to be so individualistic, like I want to be a gladiator or I want to be a soccer player.
Mm.
It's going to be something more understated, but that applies to everybody.
Mm.
So then the real question you're asking is what is that, you know, and how do you find that? And I think his name is Dr. Arthur Brooks. He's a psychologist at Harvard.
Mm.
And he just, I was just doom scrolling the other day, and he really caught me off guard because he said, you know, they did a study and found that the happiest people on earth have some understanding that there's something greater than themselves, which ties directly into everything we've been talking about of, like, you have to be able to let things go, like hold things loosely and hold them loosely to someone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Going into that kind of idea of like a greater, you know, whether that be, you know, God or, you know, purpose. How does somebody see like they doing that? Let's say you're just like, you know, just Joe working in accounting, you know, being like, okay, I'm just crunching spreadsheets all day. You know, it's like where you don't really see the direct correlation.
The beautiful thing is no matter what you believe or what direction the organization that you're a part of is going, you can plug into this new life immediately by looking at the person next to you, which there will always be someone next to you unless you're in solitary confinement. Like, there's no way. There's not going to be someone you're passing or interacting with. And asking yourself, which will turn into asking them, what do you want? What do you need? How can I support you? Immediately you've plugged in. That's so countercultural that it's like what did you say? You know, and whatever their answer is, you have purpose immediately.
Yeah, I think so many people are just kind of disheartened. You know, I mean, like, because it's like we have all these things that are telling us the world's problems. You know, we have all these things that I think make us feel a lot smaller. You know, because we were in smaller communities. Like, you knew what was happening down the street, and that's about it. You know, and there's something you could do about that. Yeah. So many people get so just like disheartened is the best word I can think of just being like, oh man, there's so much happening around the world. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And people get burned.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll trust and then they'll get taken advantage of because there's people out there who will just take, you know?
Yeah.
It's naive to think that that's not true. But you don't have to go in blindly, you know? It's just, you can protect yourself while just seeking their good, you know, not seeking. I think that's where it becomes unhealthy or frustrating or disheartening is because people are doing things expecting a return. And the difference is, and this goes back to one of those crazy ideas Jesus had was like, yeah, do it, but expect nothing. Just do it. And
like not even maybe see the result.
Yeah.
You know, of being like, I might give this $1 away. Yeah. Not even going to be able to see that even being put to use, but just having trust, having faith that it is being used.
And that's what it comes down to is now you've moved into a realm of a concept of faith or hope. And where you're dealing with faith and hope, it doesn't work unless there's something greater than yourself, you know.
You have to have something to have faith and hope in.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason those people that Dr. Brooks was talking about are happier is because whether they realize it or not, by seeking the good of someone else and not expecting a return, they're getting more of a return than they would have had if they were just seeking their own good.
Like what kind of return are you talking about?
So if you, for him, he was talking about happiness, and I didn't go super in depth into the study, but the 10,000 foot view seemed to be like, let's say in a marriage, for example, by me seeking the good of my person, and her in turn seeking my good, she is noticing things. This is like a Rocky thing. Like Rocky said it. You fill gaps, I fill gaps. You know, she's noticing things that I would never have noticed, and pointing out things that I would never have seen, and suggesting things I would never have heard of. So now I look better, I think better, I'm smarter, I have better ideas, my career is going in a certain direction, because for us at the altar, we both made a covenant, like a decision for life. I will seek what you want over what I want. And so she's covering my 6. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I don't have eyes in the back of my head. Nobody does. So you now have a full 360 degree view of what's in front of you, and you don't feel like you're in the dark anymore.
I feel like that's got to be why so many people just don't feel safe in relationships, you know, because they're like, we have such a culture that's like, okay, I'm going to get mine. And if you don't really help me do that, you know, and I think it's not it's going back to that, like it's really scarcity, you know, it's not abundance, you know?
Yeah. And I think we've all felt it of when you're in those unhealthy cultures or environments or workplaces, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're thinking about me. I feel like, in some senses, I feel like I'm in danger, like my position or my idea, or I don't feel safe. And where does that come from? It comes from you don't have that full 360 degree view of what's actually going on. And imagine an organization, family unit, team, business, where everybody has a full 360 degree view. Now the organization has a full 360 degree view. And how can you lose? Because you can see everything coming and you can adapt together.
That ties really nicely into the next thing I want to talk about, which is, I think, viewing yourself in a more accurate way. Because I think it's kind of the best analogy I always have for this is like, everybody thinks they're great at singing, you know, and like, you know, you think you're a rock star in the car and in the shower, and then you get in front of somebody or a karaoke night, and you quickly realize there's certain people who are good at singing and there's some people who are not, you know, and I think that's true about everything. About like, you know, we don't have the ability to be unbiased about ourselves, you know, because it's ourselves. And so how do we start to get a healthy view of ourselves that's realistic, but, you know, also, you know, I mean, overall healthy, you know?
I think it goes back to plugging in. Like you cannot, like you said, we're incapable of not being biased about ourselves, because we see ourselves all day, every day. We know our full context. We know why we think, why we want what we want, or we think we do. And so we're not actually, we have no mirrors. You know, we think we have mirrors. We can look in a mirror, but that's telling us a surface level story. The psychologist Edgar Schein would say it's telling us what our artifacts are. It's not going deeper to our values or our assumptions, which if it did, then nobody would need therapy. They just look in a mirror, you know? So having that accurate view of yourself requires, and this is a day and age where we're realizing that more because there's more people in therapy than ever before in history, a willingness to be vulnerable and hold loosely your view of yourself and let somebody say, well, actually, this is what I see. And in a healthy relationship, that person is looking for positive things to call out in you. And if you are in a positive organizational relationship, that's going to be aligned with what the overall purpose is of the organization.
You know? I think going back to that idea of therapy, it's like, you know, a lot of people, you kind of said to yourself, a lot of people are in therapy more than, you know, ever before. And I think that is mainly because, like, your therapists used to be your friends, you know, like the people that you did life with, of being like,
we didn't need it as much.
No, exactly. And I think that, like, what does that say about our overall culture of like, we need to pay somebody to sit down and like actually like listen and
it says we've been so convinced, like we've hook, line, and sinker bought this lie, this con, that we can get what we want on our own, that everybody has detached. Nobody's nobody is actively relying on anyone else for anything. They are indirectly doing that. Like everyone is. You know, there's Amazon. You know what I mean? Like I can't pursue my dream without Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
But directly, nobody's consciously like, you know, like the Bill Withers song of "Lean on Me." That wouldn't even like, that wouldn't be as big of a song today because people would. I'm not leaning on anybody, and I don't want you to lean on me.
Yeah.
Like, I got my own things to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think that's why is exactly what you said. We used to rely on each other. You would know your neighbor and invite them over. I can't tell you. I don't even know who my neighbor is.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've seen them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just the world that we live in.
That's really interesting. I feel like the big thing that I've been realizing is that regardless of the situation you go in, regardless of your job, whatever, people are looking for that connection. People are looking for somebody they can kind of trust. People call it a light, you know what I mean? And a lot of spiritual people will say, you know, the Holy Spirit, whatever. That stuff is so evident. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever it smacks you across the face whenever you interact with somebody like that.
It does. Yeah. I think it's tough in this day and age. There's, you know, stigmas attached to different things, but we've all been in the presence of someone that we were like, where there's something else going on here. Whether that was positive, where you're like, they have like a joy that doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. Or negative, like this person is so evil. You know, like we've all experienced some level of that.
Yeah.
Everybody's not just like deadpan neutral, you know. So there's absolutely some kind of spiritual element involved, and what you're doing in relationship, it's like a gateway, like an entrance. I don't know if you've ever seen Dark Matter.
I have not.
Have you ever seen that show? No. Mind blowing. Saw the show, then I had to read the book, and I think you would like it. But it's basically the premise is, you know how in quantum mechanics things are in superposition until you see them, and then it's either like a 1 or a 0, for example. But until then, it was a 1 0 1 0 1 0. You know, and so this guy, this physicist, he figures out how to do that with universes. Oh, wow. So it's like a multiverse, and there's like this hallway where it's not really a hallway in his lab. It's like a vault, but when he goes into superposition, and now he's got the whole multiverse, and he walks down the hall and picks another door, and you know, this one, I don't know, it was completely snowed out and nobody's alive, or that one, it's on fire. But that's what that hallway is relationship. You know, you're opening up worlds of possibility and like intrigue and hope when you, and we talk to people all the time and we don't think about it in that context, but humanity is mind-blowing. Like, what is a brainwave? Yeah. You know, what is a hope? What is an experience? Because it's not happening right now. Like, there's so many parts of our human experience that we just take for granted. But if we saw every relationship or interaction with another human as like, this is something supernatural, and I'm going to value it and treat it as such, you, in the interaction itself, you're getting something out of it.
There's a C.S. Lewis quote that I really like. I think it's saying that like, you've never met a mere mortal. You know, everybody that you run into is an eternal being. You know, being like, if you're to believe that we all have a soul, it's like you've never just met. Like that doesn't exist. You know.
You don't talk to a chair.
No, exactly. You know? And I think that's I mean that idea to me is so interesting. I think we've lost that. You know, being like the wonder of even just the person next to you, which kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. How do we start becoming like one of these just positive influences? You know, like I guess like how do we start to kind of be that sunshine, that light, that hope, and kind of veer away more from like, I don't want to walk out of the room and be like, wow, Theo was really evil. I felt he's got Cruella de Vil energy coming off of him right now.
I think, you know, I'm actually going to go that direction to answer your question. I don't know if you've heard of, sorry to talk about serial killers again.
Yeah, it's okay.
BTK, the BTK killer.
I have not, no.
He was, the BTK stands for stuff nobody should do, but he was actually a deacon at a church. And for like 20, 30 years, he had a family. He was a present father.
Oh, wow.
And then it turns out he like made the dumbest slip up, and they were able to track him and found out, oh, we've been looking for him for 20 years. He's
Oh,
killed
geez.
so many people gruesomely. And his wife didn't know, his kids didn't know, nobody knew.
That's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And later, his daughter and wife came out. They like wrote a book and stuff. And I don't remember if it was the daughter or wife, but they were like, yeah, I used to have dreams all the time of like just this evil presence in the house.
Oh, geez.
You know, like
Yeah.
there was something off.
Mm.
But I didn't know because he seemed like such a great guy. He was so nice.
Mm.
And behind the scenes, or when we think he's at work, he's brutally, you know, hurting someone.
Yeah.
So if that's possible,
Mm.
you have to think about why that happened.
Mm.
And the essence of that kind of person is he was trying to fulfill a desire that he had. And it was to the extreme of I don't care. Not only do I not care if it affects somebody else, I get enjoyment from it negatively affecting them.
That's
You know, that's the other end of the spectrum. So if that's the one end, what's the other side of that? I care so much about your good. And this is, again, why Jesus is such a transformational figure in history, because we never have seen anything like this before or since. And I would venture to guess the people that you interact with where you're like, wow, they were different in a positive way, it probably was because you felt valued. Like they didn't come in, walk all over you, and you were like, oh, that was a great person. You know what I mean? Like they probably called something out of you, or like made you feel better about yourself, or elevated you in some way. So if you can, with reckless abandon, like, I don't care what this does to me, even if I have to fill in the blank, I will seek this person's good, then you're in a different space.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's not just like, oh, be really great to the person next to you. Because I think that has to start with, okay, I see the person next to me as something, this is a valuable person. You're seeing them in all of their dimensions.
Yeah.
You know, there's one thing that I really like, that, you know, our brains, you know, it's always processing information, and it's always looking for ways to be more efficient. Yeah. And so whenever I look at people, that's where generalisms and stereotypes come from, is it's really easy to start putting things in buckets, right? Of being
very easy, very natural.
And that's a process that we, in some ways, kind of have to bring consciousness to, of being like, you know, I don't want to see this person as just another drop in the bucket of, you know, this stereotype or that stereotype, but this is a person with a lot of different dimensions, a lot of different information, more than I could probably ever know in my lifetime, you know, because you'll be married to somebody and you're still getting to know new stuff all the time, you know? And I think it takes energy, but I think once you put your energy into that, like, it really shows.
Yeah, it does show. And you get a relational return where you talk about great leaders. And we were talking about Dune. So Paul, he's able, for example, to seek the good of the Fremen, like with reckless abandon. And I mean, he's seeking, you could go a lot of different ways with what his actual motives are and why he's maybe not actually a good guy, but he's probably manipulating. But from their perspective, the reason they're so all in, like, I will follow this guy to my death, is because he showed that first. Yeah. Like he first said, I will risk my life for you and in your dream of a green planet. And if you want the green planet, follow me, because that's where I'm going. I'm going there for you. Yeah. And they were all like, yeah, of course, I will die for you. And now you have and if it's manipulative, it's not healthy, but you have that like symbiotic 360 relationship where a Fremen that we'll never know the name of is on the front lines giving his all for Paul. And Paul is doing the same for that Fremen that he might never meet. Yeah. You know? And that's where you tap into something like purposeful, fulfilling. And it goes back to what we were talking about before of like, this effort is worth it because it's going somewhere real, you know? So,
no, I love that. Yeah. Well, I hope we can all be, you know, a little bit more like that. And I guess
you and me both.
Yeah. I mean, I think we really need that. I think our culture is really starving of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And this conversation was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If it's something that you're interested in, check out the channel, comment if something resonated with you, and see you next time.